My name is John from 100%mindset.com. Today I want to talk to you guys about a philosophy that I call know your worth. Okay, know when it's time to cut and run. I know in entrepreneurial endeavors they say, you got to stick it out, you got to persevere through a lot of pain. That is 100% true, but you have to know when to cut and run, when to cut your losses and leave people, leave jobs, leave relationships. Check out this vid. Let me read you this Ben Franklin quote and we'll start this video. It says, "Shine your rays on a new horizon." That's what Ben Franklin said. I think that had to do with in the early days when he came to America. He was in Boston, I think, and he was trying to do printing with his brother, his older brother, and they were one of the only printing presses. This is the early days of America. On the East Coast, I think there's some in New York or whatever, or some in Boston. But he was under his brother, and he never got his due. They never treated him like an equal, like a partner. So what he did was he ended up going to Philadelphia. He got a guy to finance a printing press, and the rest was history. He wrote the Declaration of Independence with some other guys. And he was an instrumental guy in America, and he's on the $100 bill. That's my favorite part. But anyways, he says, shine your rays on a new horizon. Basically what he's saying is if it's not happening here, if they're not appreciating you here, then you go there. And you don't even hesitate. Because sometimes as soon as you go there and you get around your people, or people see you in a different light, or they're not unfamiliar with you, sometimes they see the value that you bring. Sometimes no matter what, who you're with, whether it be your family, your girlfriend, your spouse, your job, they just don't see in you what you see in you. And you can't let that bring you down. You have to know your worth. So let's talk about this a little bit. I got on the board. Do not stay in a stale relationship ever, man. It's not worth it. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Move on. You got to go after what you want. You got to ask, or the question or the answer will always be no. You have to try. You don't settle. Okay. You do not stay in a dead-end job. I got that as a little thing in there. I mean, how many times have we been in a dead-end job? How many times have we been waiting to get the pay we want? Don't stay. Leave. Find something else. Your skills are valuable. If your work ethic is valuable, you're gonna find your place, and people are gonna be appreciative. I've had part-time jobs where they think I'm a superstar. I've had other jobs where everything's a problem. It's like, you got to know your worth. You got to know when to get out. You got to cut and run sometimes. You got to have balls in life. You got to have self-esteem. You have to have, a high sense of worth. You can't be deluded. Never be deluded and never be arrogant. And, you have to humble yourself for sure. But you have to know your worth. You have to leave that dead-end job. And you have to push down fear. That's what all entrepreneurs know how to do, is how to push down fear. It's like, think about life if you didn't have fear. If you didn't have any fear, what would you do? A lot of people that work for themselves they're not just gonna stay in a stale job or whatever, it's secure, low pay. They're gonna leave if they know their worth, because they know how to push down fear. They know if they shine their rays on a new horizon, they could be a superstar. You don't get with ridiculous people. If they're ridiculous, you gotta know though, if you're the common denominator, if every time you have a problem and it's the same problem, it's probably you. Okay, you gotta know that. Anyways, I got written down on the board, do not live in a one-horse town. That means don't just be in a small town. If they're doing IT work out in California, or if they're doing whatever's big in your field in some other area, you need to grab your balls and move, okay? It's not that hard. You're not a tree. Relocate. I got that written down. That's for sure. Because a lot of times you relocate and you're like, wow, What you're doing essentially is, I've talked about this in other videos, is you're reinventing yourself. All right, if you're going to the gym, or if you're getting in shape, or if you're studying self-education books or courses, or you got a new fitness routine, it might rub people the wrong way, but what you're doing is you're reinventing yourself. You're not getting slower, you're not getting fatter, and year by year, slowly sinking down. In 5 years, you're a fat mess, okay? You got to relocate if you're living in a one-horse town. If the town's too small, get out. I don't care if you have relatives there. I don't care if you have roots there. If you're living in a one-horse town, you got to move. You got to go where the action is. You got to go. Where I'm going to go is where the low taxes are. I'm not going to pay for ridiculous leaders and taxes and bureaucracy. That's my goal, is to go where things are tax friendly to people that want to do business. Okay, so do not live in a one-horse town. Do not, all right, this is one of the main ones I want to get across here. Do not stay around toxic family members, okay? I don't care if it's your own mother or father or brother or sister, okay? Everyone might have a little problem with the mother-in-law, or the, some sibling, or the cousin, or whatever, I don't care. Like, tight-knit families in different cultures, I know, have a lot of guilt with this, but you cannot stay around toxic family members. If anybody's narcissistic or controlling, or problems with substances, alcohol, drugs, just get away. If you can't get away totally, set boundaries. Talk with them and say, look, you will never control this, that, or the other thing in my house. You will never have your say. You will never have control of my inbox. Just delete it. It's just like spam. It's not doing you any good. If it's toxic, if you got a thing in your mind that you're trying to get done, and people are interrupting you because their little small life revolves around controlling you, or being a substance abuser, and there's always a problem, get out. Get those people away from you. It goes with any negative person at work. If they're working on that side, then you work on the other side. Just don't stay around negative people. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be totally rude, although sometimes you do. But you just cannot engage with them. I mean, it's all little nonsense anyways. You need to set your mind on something higher. We're not going to talk about this, that, and the other thing. We're not going to be around like scorekeepers, or people that have a false sense of like, oh, I've been here longer than you, or that's nonsense, okay? Stay away from those people. They got probably issues in their own life, or there's like Napoleon complexes. There's they're saying that nasty people are usually they have problems of their own, and they're projecting that on you. Or if somebody's controlling, it probably means their life is out of control, okay? If somebody's being a bully, that means that they have issues, okay? So you need to shut that down, work on the other side, get those people out of your life. Do not let negative people diminish your worth, okay? Zero, you can't have that. All right, I got as for coworkers, divorce them, find a new job. That's what I got written down on the board. Look, it might be scary at first, but you're gonna find your people. I hear so many people telling me this or that about like, oh, well, they did this to at my old job, and then this happened. It's like, those aren't your people. Simple as that. As soon as you get around your people, you'll know, because they'll find value in you. They'll see the value that you bring, And then I got, value yourself. See, this is the most important one that most people miss. Self-development. A lot of times people ask me, like, why do you not eat fast food? Or why do you bring your own lunches every day? Or why do you value fitness so much? Right now it's COVID-19 time. Guys, I got no gym. I am running, man. And the funny thing is that running is not easy. It's not easy for me, even though I'm a fitness guy, and I know it's not easy for you, but let me tell you a secret real quick on running. As soon as you get that first mile, or as soon as you get those first couple laps, it totally puts you into motion that you could do 3 or 4 more. It's the first one, the first lap, the first mile. As soon as you get your pace and your breathing down, running is a joy. And you get the runner's high, you get the same endorphins and the chemicals after the run as you do after a hard workout. And you be slim, but you don't really gain muscle. But anyways, I'm ranting. So most importantly is you have to value yourself. And how do we do that? We read, okay? There's no TV. There's nothing good the TV is going to teach you. I mean, once in a while, it's fine. But if you're going to have a Netflix binge, it's nonsense, people. You're escaping reality because your life sucks. I'm just putting it blunt. You know, you must read like self-development type books, psychology books, finance type books, or whatever interests you. You know, I'm on this Navy SEAL kick, you know, and there's incredible leadership skills that these books teach you. And I was on like a rock and roll kick, but I was reading it from a sense like, what drove this person? Why did they make it? And it was so many people failed. I wasn't reading it because all the groupie stories are outrageous, alcohol and drugs. It was like, I was like, wow, that guy was driven. And it's the same with the Navy SEALs. I mean, the rock and roll books are not much different. The people that make it, it's a mental game. Mental tough people make it, okay? So I said no alcohol. Alcohol equals fat and slow. I know people will disagree with me on that, but it's just not necessary. When I go to the store, I'm not spending any money on alcohol. I'm not going out on the weekends and spending money at the bar, okay? That money's going into investments, like physical products for Amazon and the stock market, okay? I'm doubling that money. You know, it's as simple as that. Yeah, is it a sacrifice? Does that make me different? Yeah, that's good. As soon as you start being like everybody else, it's how you know you're losing. As soon as you're a little different, or you irritate someone, or they're like asking you, well, why do you do this and why do you do that when everybody does this? It's because you want to separate yourself from the pack. Okay, if you're doing what everybody else does, you're doing it wrong. There's a famous Mark Twain quote that, you know, if you find yourself on the side of majority, you need to stop and reflect. Okay? And Robert Frost says, you know, the path less traveled made all the difference. You know, these are things that, like I said, pushing down fear, being entrepreneurial, not working that 9 to 5, you know, putting end to this nonsense is the ultimate self-worth. It's not about the money, it's about the freedom. That's what everybody will tell you. It's about the freedom to take your life back and not sit in that stupid rush hour traffic. Okay, so self-educate. You know, don't be a Democrat or a Republican. I got written down on the board. Be a Viking, you know. Does a Viking ask the president if he should wear a COVID-19 mask? Does a Viking need the government to pay for all their health care? Does a Viking need the government to provide them with a job? You know, just be a Viking, man. Figure it out. It's the same as the early days of the caveman. The one who was considered materially rich would be the one that was the best hunter, the one that could kill the most animals, and that meant running fast. And he would have the most furs and probably the most rad cave if he was a caveman. He would be the best hunter. He didn't ask the tribe what he should do or that. He went out and took care of business. TCB, take care of business. All right, and I got written down on the board, you can have more if you become more. That's a typical Jim Rohn quote right there. You can have more if you become more. You become great. You become great personally. You become fit personally. You read books at home instead of watching TV or the game or drinking $13 IPAs with your buddies or whatever. These are negative things. They're fine in small quantities, but you want to line up the day with everything positive, man. It's just like making money. If you invest, it's gonna throw off a little dividend. It's gonna throw off a little profit. Just like if you invest in yourself, you're feeding your brain, you're feeding your mind. If you're working out, if you're running, you're getting in alignment with your body and mind, you know. It's very important. All right, and then, I got a couple at the end. It says, you want to have an above average excitement level. You want to have an above average smile, above average handshake. Well, if everybody's got like a little mousy, wimpy handshake, you're just like everybody else. There's nobody going to remember you if you're a sales guy. There's no, you got to be above average. If you want an above average spouse, then you got to be above average. If you want to make above average money, you got to feed your mind. You got to self-develop to where that stuff's normal. You're operating in a higher frequency. Your vibration is known to everybody. When you walk in the room, they're like, why does this guy seem different? It's because he's raised above his consciousness. He's put in the time and the work. Be it meditation, eating right, no alcohol, exercise. I mean, it just vibrates off you. People can tell, okay? Above average handshake, above average smile, above average excitement level, okay? Remember that. It's important, man, especially if you're in sales. All right, and then I got, if we can even get to this, if we can get to valuing ourselves, we have to commit to not coasting, okay? That's the biggest problem, is people plateau. A lot of times people plateau because they think their health is gonna go. They're gonna have a heart attack if they keep going. You have to keep expanding, okay? If you're not growing or getting bigger, you're going in the opposite direction. There's no such thing as just like keeping it the same. There's no such thing, okay? You have to expand. It has to grow. So always commit to not coasting. So even when things get better, and they will, even if you're going through a rough time and people aren't seeing your value, you're gonna get out of it. Things are gonna get better. But the most important thing is you do not let off that gas pedal. You push harder, because that's when you get the momentum. As soon as you commit to not coasting, you get the momentum. And once you get the momentum, the fear disappears and you become unstoppable.